So, Leon, thank you so much for coming along for another coaching session. And I know we've had a bit of a chat already, but what's today's topic? What did you want to focus on today?
Yeah, I've had some thoughts about this, Charlie. So we've covered some good ground on other topics, and one of the topics on my list really is relationships. I think it's an important area for me because it's an area that I don't feel like I've uh, done so well at,
Yeah,
and been in and out of a few relationships. I think perhaps it would be really good to have some coaching on that
yeah,
and
yes,
see if that's an area that I could, you know, be better at.
yes. It's a perennial worldwide problem, isn't it? That you're bringing
Yeah,
along. Okay, all
no,
right, okay. And I mean, I'm sure it's something that you've thought about a lot, but is it something that you engage in, like you talk about a lot, you think about a lot, or is it just bubbling away in the background?
it's a strange thing, but yeah, I think it does occupy my thoughts on a daily basis, really. And it's always something that comes up in conversation with friends.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's something which, I don't necessarily instigate the chat. It's other people seems to be top of their list of things to talk about as well. Um, I suppose with the Euros going on at the moment, this is pushed to the back. But when I meet my friends, it's talking about football. But yeah, well, it's something that certainly it's in my thoughts every day.
yeah,
And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't often feel it is a good thing because I don't want to be consumed by this.
yeah.
Um, and I almost feel like having them thoughts all the time is something that scuppers any sort of good opportunities that might come along because straight away you're anxious.
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's probably one of the things I'm conscious of. Yeah.
Okay, so there might be some things to work on for you with this. Okay. Um,
Sorry.
there
Yeah.
there might be a few things that will pop up through the session for you to want to work on, like you just mentioned about being anxious. So that might be one of the things. Tell me what
Sure.
I'll ask you in a minute what we want to achieve in today's conversation. But what is it you mean by relationships? Is it like you're looking for a life partner? You're looking to start like a see how it goes type of relationship, or what is it you've got in your mind?
Yeah. I mean, I know what doesn't work, and that is jumping straight into a relationship full on.
Yeah,
Um, and I probably never really had that kind of opportunity where things start off as on a friends basis.
yeah,
And I have to say that um, I don't really have any kind of girlfriend type
yeah,
people. It's just all blokes.
yeah,
Um, um, yeah, and I've kind of reached out where I've been a member of a club for leisure and sport and that sort of thing, you don't feel like you feel awkward about trying to be a friendly person to
yeah.
somebody or get to know somebody on a friendly basis, a female, a woman. Um, so that's something, yeah, that yeah, I'm sort of conscious of a lot of the time,
Yeah.
really.
Okay.
Mm.
So you're saying a bit about what you don't want. You're not looking for a quick rush in that whole what's it first date to wedding in 5 minutes. But do you know
Yeah.
what you are looking for? And like you've got a general idea about what you're looking for in a relationship.
Yeah, I think I really do know now, having years and years of experience of it. Um, yeah, definitely something that starts off very, you know, nice, friendly environment. We get to know somebody that way, and but it's, I suppose you may have expectations with that person. They may have a different expectation.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. You're working towards something which might not happen, but.
Yes.
Um, I just get frustrated with internet dating and that kind of thing, really. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So we've got a topic, haven't we? We've definitely got a like something you wanna find out about how you can start building a relationship that can move from a casual friendship towards something more meaningful. Okay. Um,
yeah.
what about for us today then? We're just talking about this for up to 40 minutes or so. So where do you want to be on this topic by the end of our time today?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think just working our way through it, really. I've got no clue as to where my mind or thoughts will be on it
Yeah.
at the end of the day. Yeah, it might be a lot of me spilling out
Yeah.
my thoughts on it and discovering from there, really.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Mm.
So, all right. So not to worry too much. We're not trying to set an end point from today. Yeah. But um, we want to just see what pops up, what emerges.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
thinking. Okay. Okay. Okay.
exactly.
But let me just ask one more question around that. Like, what, like, how will you know if we've had a good conversation? What do you think might have changed in your thinking by the time we get to the end of this?
Um, well, I think shining a light on a few things that might give me uh, suggestions, ideas on going forward,
Yeah.
or seeing where maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first thing.
Yeah.
Am I doing something wrong, or am I just like everyone else caught up in this kind of thing where you want something
Yeah.
and it just isn't happening,
Yeah.
and maybe it just takes a lot longer. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, but that's helpful, isn't it? So you want to review what you're doing and see how you're doing it and see if there's any ways that you can do it better.
In a way, yeah, I think that's probably it. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. And to be really clear, in coaching, we don't give advice. And anyway, even if we did, I'm not sure if I've got any good advice about relationships. I think I'll definitely be directing you down the road on that one. Okay, so we're starting to bring out areas that you want to look at. And one area is, your approach, your tactics. Are you doing it well or not so well? Anything else you think you want to look at?
In connection with
Yeah,
relationships.
in connection with
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's I, um I mean, there's other things that may affect um how you get success in relationships.
Yeah.
It's how much time you put in.
Yeah.
Um, am I too am I too much caught up in the other things I do? So I'm not giving enough effort or time to make a relationship work. Um, or if I know with the last relationship I came out of, it went too quick, too soon, over a short period of time, and I did completely the opposite, and I just put everything on the back foot. The work, everything was kind of suffered in a way because I was so keen on this particular person, and then that had the reverse effect, and obviously it caused problems in that regard. Um, I think being on the right footing with relationships, and it's things like confidence, the anxiety I mentioned, um, having a good work-life balance, so that somebody's not put off by the fact that I do spend long hours in my office. Maybe I've got to look at some changes there as well. And I can't think of too much more on that,
Okay.
Charlie.
Well, but that's quite a lot, isn't it? I mean, if I summarize it, it sounds like we've got this, like, what's your approach? Is it working well or not working well for finding and meeting someone? And then you've got this when you start a relationship, too fast, too slow, and then also your commitment and your availability, for because you have a busy job as well. So there's three significant things, as well as the underlying thing that you said about your belief about yourself and your confidence. Um,
Mm.
so are they those three? Does that sound like it's okay to focus on them for now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So which should we start with? I mean, chronologically, it's um to meeting someone, isn't it? Before then, what the relationship's like. Do you want to start there, or do you want to start with you inside the relationship?
Yeah. Happy to start. Yeah. With from that point. Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, you mentioned about what you're doing wrong, your words, right? What about what you're doing right? What do you think you do well in terms of getting to know, getting to meet people, and embarking on these relationships?
Um, I think uh, good discussion is being an interesting person. So, I've done a lot in my life and I'm still doing a lot, and I'm quite open.
Hmm.
Um, I think I'm like that from the word go
Yeah,
in a relationship. So, somebody could read me quite quickly,
yeah,
kind of person I am. Um, so I guess I'm giving them the opportunity to know whether or not they could sort of get along with me.
yes,
Um, and that's not just in relationships, it's other things as well. But that's just how I roll, and I'm quite comfortable with that.
yeah,
So that on that point, then I suppose, yeah, kicking things off in a relationship or meeting somebody for the first time, I'm not I'm not sort of backward at coming forward
yes,
um, to get the chat going,
yes,
and I'm quite happy to ask somebody out, if I feel that's where it's going.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, because of that, I think, well, then why is it just something that seems so difficult to make happen?
yes,
Because a lot of people probably are not very good at coming forward.
yeah,
It's a bit odd when I say, I've had anxiety issues and confidence.
yeah,
I suppose that kicks in later on.
yeah,
Um, maybe there's too much of me in the beginning, and it kind of peters out a bit,
yes.
and that's where I start to feel vulnerable.
So is it
Yeah,
so in that early stage, in that getting to know you stage, is it like that? Is it like you're all in, you're very present and very
yeah,
sort of bubbly and
yeah,
sparkly and full personality?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
are you finding that not sustainable then over time?
I think that is the case. Yeah, I when I look back on, I mean, I've not had lots of relationships, but I think most of them I have been in. Generally been the way that
Yeah.
it's worked out.
Yes.
I've been too keen to uh, wow them with who I am.
Yes.
It's not that wowable, but it's something I like my work, and um, there's a few. Yeah, I've been on some nice holidays, got my own place. It's all good.
Yeah.
But and you think, yeah, yeah, you should know somebody by now. You should have somebody in your company.
Yes.
And I think, yeah, when I think about, and I think, yeah, it's pacing it, starting off with a nice pace definitely seems the right way to go, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. And how aware have you been of this? I mean, we've only been talking 10 minutes or so, but you said that quite quickly, haven't you? Have you been aware that that's what you do? You go too fast.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose I don't like too much silence.
Yeah.
I'm always filling those gaps with conversation.
Yeah.
Um, the last relationship, which is what I can recall a lot about that, where I just didn't give an inch of space. It was kind of filled
Yeah.
um, to the brim, and it seemed to be going really well, and then suddenly it went right down, right
Yeah.
off, and it was yeah, I think it was a lot to do with that.
What
Uh,
there was too much Leon, too much in this.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, and and not knowing when to say no. I'm not going to see you then or later, and we'll see you again tonight and then tomorrow, and holding some back for me.
Yes.
Um, uh, yeah, there's definitely a formula to follow
Yeah.
in a relationship that to make it work, and I'm off kilter from that. That's
Okay.
really where I feel. Yeah,
So, well, there's a couple of questions there, isn't it, about one's about the formula and then one's about the off kilter. So, I mean, what do you mean by that? What does that mean by formula?
Um, I suppose, yeah, being an engineer, if you look at a graph,
I'm liking
um,
this, the dating graph. You could patent this, right? On the dating graph.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's about, I suppose, in a way, mapping yourself to the other person,
yeah,
um, and where they probably want to take it slowly and ease into a relationship and not give too much away too soon. Um, their curve is starting off low,
yes,
and the idea is it kind of builds up gradually, and you reach a point where it plateaus.
yeah,
Um, Mine on the XY axis is starting off at the
yeah,
top of that graph, and what happens is it slopes down.
right.
Um, so it's going the opposite way, and yeah, that's the only way I can picturize it. Um, and I think it's, how do I reverse that really? Because I've always been that way.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And can I mean, I think I get my head around the graph, but what's important is that you get your head around the graph, isn't it? Is that your formula for all your relationships, like with your pals, with work colleagues, or is it just particularly in the dating context?
Um, no, I think with yeah, it's an interesting point. With friends, my mates, or people I've got to know through work who have become friends, that's always been a slow burner, building up, getting to know them. You start off a little bit cautious. Um, it's a complete reverse when it comes to that for me. Um, yeah, I can't think of any instances where, I've gone all in
Yeah.
with, uh, getting to know a friend, like
Yes.
a guy who's you get friendly with, or through work, or through social meeting, through social events.
So this might seem a bit of a bleeding obvious question, but why is it that with your mates you can go in slowly and gently, and but with a girl it's all in, chucking the whole what did you say, top of the x-axis? What's the
Yeah,
difference? I can guess, right? But I'm going to ask anyway.
I don't know, Charlie. Actually, no. It's a bit like it's a terrible analogy, but if you buy yourself a new car,
Yeah.
you know, it's the big thing in your life, isn't it? You want to know everything about it. You want to be driving it all the time, talking about it all the time. But then the novelty wears off.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not saying it's a novelty thing with me. I mean, I just run out of steam,
Yeah.
because I've put too much in from the beginning. Um, yeah, yeah. That's the way I see it.
Um, Sorry, it's just the windows were blowing. So you talked about going all in and then running out of steam. Is there a correlation? Do you think because you go all in, that's what makes you run out of steam?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, and not being in sync with the other person means that you feel, when you get to that stage or part way down that curve, you're feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Doubt creeps in, or you actually start doubting yourself because you think, well, they've gone quiet. I'm not entertaining them enough. I'm not talking enough. I've got to try harder, and then suddenly it all starts going wobbly.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I think that's a kind of, certainly a pattern to some of the relationships I've had, and whether that's because I'm always thinking, well, I might mess it up, and therefore, I'm programming my mind to be thinking, you're on a fine line here.
Yeah.
Um, you can go one way or the other. You need to try harder.
Yes.
When the other side of me is saying, actually, no, you pull back. yeah, yeah.
So you got this.
So I
No, go on.
yeah, sorry.
No, you can.
No, no.
Well, you've got this binary thing here, haven't you? Like try harder or pull back, do loads or do nothing, or all in or nothing. Do you see it so sort of, top of the scale, bottom of the scale, one approach or t'other?
Um, yeah, yeah, I do. Um, I mean, I get, obviously I'm really excited when I meet somebody and you want to, there's so many things you want to do and go places
Yeah.
and enjoy stuff with them. Um, my last relationship was uh was a whirlwind of excitement and going places and enjoying each other's company and went to Marrakesh and all various things like that. And there was so much going on. It was full on.
Yeah.
Um, and then it sort of uh, came to a sudden end. But I think that she was also full on.
Yeah.
So even though we were in sync, we both kind of burnt out.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you're using quite a lot of language about doing more and being more and talking more, and also language about space and her not having space or the other person not having space. Um, and that's not working for you, you're saying.
It, I'm thinking of that as being one of the perhaps the primary reason
Okay.
it's not working. We're
Okay.
exploring that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, what is it about like doing a lot and saying a lot and putting yourself in there that makes you feel like that's the thing. That's almost like your leading tactic.
Um, it could be a number of things. I mean, I think just about every relationship, even the long-term ones, have kind of started that way.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, I'm not sure, Charlie. Yeah. Um, no, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Uh, hmm.
And is this something that you've wrestled with?
Yeah, yeah, definitely is more so than ever, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of analysing it a lot more. I suppose I compare my situation to a lot of friends
Yeah.
that I have who have been down the same path with divorce and everything, and they've actually moved on and
Yeah.
met and had relationships, several, and now they're with long-term ones. So yeah, you could start to feel like the odd one out, really.
Yeah.
What is it they're doing right and I'm doing wrong?
Yes.
Um, so yeah, your friends can be helpful and give you advice, but I don't think they really ever give you the secret as to how it's making it work for them. Whether they even know what that is, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and everyone's secret is their own secret, and perhaps you're right, perhaps we don't know, but they don't know. Okay. Uh there's something here. You're talking a lot about your personality and how your personality is. And also you're mindful that there's another person in the relationship. So talk a bit about the other person's personality and how like how you help manifest that in the relationship.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I have moments where I'm conscious of what their situation is and their own um, obligations and things, commitments. Um, and then when that kind of switches off, I'm probably most of the time thinking about my needs,
Right.
my needs of being with them,
Yeah.
and what I'm going to do to impress them,
Yeah.
take them to the nice restaurant or out for the day or cinema, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I suppose when that doesn't happen, doesn't come off because they've got their own plans, I'm left a little bit deflated.
Yeah.
Um, I think I deal with it better now, but there probably was a time when I'd have some jealousy bouts, or maybe feeling feeling very wrong and negative about
Yeah.
something like that happening. I'm certainly not so much like that now, really. Um, yeah, I think that um, I suppose when I've presented them with so much of me,
Yeah.
I'm feeling like that's it. We've bonded. We've got that thing going now.
Yeah.
Let's let's just do everything together.
Mm.
um, hmm. Yeah, I know the last relationship, the lady had, a lot of responsibilities with her kids, and yeah, I probably didn't give them, I did that situation much consideration, really. Yeah.
So if you're an engineer, right, and you've already given us an X and Y axis, let's do some numbers then. Let's like there's two people in a relationship here and it's 50-50.
Hmm.
Maybe it's some weeks it's 40-60 because someone's got going on. What's the numbers for you and your partners typically? Percentage Leon, percentage the other person.
Uh, yeah. Probably a 60-40, 70-30 kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, um, I'm not working for a company with a boss, and
Yeah.
I'm here on my own.
Yeah.
So often, that person can be in your thoughts for the whole day, and then you get drawn into this messaging or thinking about what you're going to do, what we're going to plan. So I'm going to I lose an hour or two maybe on when I should be working, um, thinking about that or doing stuff that's related to that. Um, and yeah, that's a little bit kind of obsessive.
Yeah.
I can see that. Not off the scale excessive, but possessive or excessive, but just kind of a bit unnecessary. Yeah.
And if you score it, if we go to the high end of your numbers of 70-30, right? And you can only guess, what do you think it might be like for the other person when the amount of space that they have in a relationship is 30 rather than 50?
Um, well, when I said the ratio 70-30, that's 70% of my thoughts, efforts,
Yeah.
um, to 30% of what was I trying to say there? Um, yeah, I mean, if you're looking at two people, um, a 50-50 is good, maybe, or a 55-45, with me doing perhaps the bulk.
Yeah.
Um, the yeah, I suppose that that doesn't leave them with enough of their own space, really. Yeah, we're not teenagers who've got all the time in the world, but obviously we've got responsibilities. My last relationship, that she had a very important job, um, kids to look after, all of that going on. So yeah, it's a bigger responsibility for a woman when they've got children at home. I haven't got kids at home,
Yeah.
so that's yeah, definitely. If there's too much of me
Yeah.
in their life, that's not a good balance, really.
Okay.
Hmm.
So we're in this last half hour or so, we've covered, I think, those two big topics have blended, haven't they? Like the how you are at the beginning of the relationship or trying to get one started, but also how you can develop those. And you've talked a lot about the balance and a lot about you and your expectations. What are you learning? What are you learning from talking all this through?
I'm definitely seeing that um, I need to change my approach and my thinking about a relationship.
Yeah,
Um, I'm very aware of the fact that going all in from the beginning is definitely not a good way
yeah,
to do it. Um, I think how this helps me in terms of like meeting somebody. I mean, it's gonna help
yeah,
because I think if I do meet somebody, I'm gonna consciously start things off really slowly
yeah,
and hold back on a lot about me. Um, it's I suppose also trying to mix it in with the complexities of internet dating
yeah,
is you give a lot away about yourself
yeah,
even before you met that person, and
yeah,
then you run out. You could sort of burn out before you've even met them. Um, I'm much better at meeting face to face. I do not like internet dating. I hate it actually. But you don't often get them opportunities to meet
yeah.
people. The last lady I met her through a club I was at,
Yeah.
not a nightclub, a health club,
All right.
um, and that was so different and nice. Yeah, that was definitely a better way to meet somebody.
Okay. So,
Um,
so there's a couple of learnings. What one you're talking about where you want to meet people and forget online, which actually is a bit more show and tell, isn't it, from what I understand? But then also you're saying you need to go at a different pace. You need to go at a slower pace. Is that like a firm decision, a firm commitment?
I think it has to be,
Yeah,
Charlie. Yeah, 100%
yeah,
on that because um, when you meet somebody, you do. It's a really important thing in your life,
yeah,
and if you mess it up, it can make you feel very low.
yeah, yes.
For a while. Um, so yeah, I think if it didn't work out, and I know that I've done the right things,
Yeah.
then I can't blame myself for that. But I always come out of it blaming myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, this has been quite a short session, but you've come up with this significant realization, I think. And maybe something to take out of the room to carry on thinking about the like it's one thing to say, isn't it? I'll go slower, but it's another thing to do it. So
Mm.
can you think of some steps that you can do to learn about this, how you're going to work out actually instead of going at 100 miles an hour, top of the x-axis, you'll go at I think whatever it is, different miles an hour and lower down on the axis. So what do you need to learn? What do you need to work out in terms of tactics?
Um, I think I need to get out there and obviously put it into practice,
Yeah,
and be mindful of that from the beginning. When I'm in that situation, it's quite difficult when if you do meet somebody and you're very keen on them,
yeah,
that kind of, everything else goes out the door. You're just thinking about that. But yeah, I'm not sure how to get it into practice. I think writing it down, I mean, you encouraged me to do a diary,
yeah,
which I've made a start on, albeit from middle of this week.
yeah.
Um, I think that would help to sort of cement my thoughts and what we talked about. Um, yeah, I think that's how I see it.
Okay. Okay. So there's something about keeping a journal, keeping a diary, but also trying a bit of trial and error to notice what you're doing. Do you need to go and do more thinking about this? Like, do you need to really think about how you can be, how, how you might respond in those moments, like early days, early conversations? Is that something you need to put a bit more time in on?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
think this is going to be a big task.
Okay. Okay.
Really, yeah, definitely.
So my takeaway question to you is then, how can you find out you've got really clear criteria for what you want to do? How can you find out a bit more about how to do it? Is there Is it you talked about formula? Is there a formula? Is there approach? Are there people who do this well who could guide you? Ways to get really clear on what you're going to do.
Other than role play with my mates, I don't.
That'll go well. That definitely won't go badly at all. Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know where to start on that, Charlie. Actually, I think that's working that one out is going to be a bit of a task. Yeah, I can't think on how I'm going to do that. It should, maybe it's obvious. I mean, I'm going to write these things down. I think that might come to me how I can work through this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like anything, you've got to be in the field
Yes.
doing these things to know how it's working. And the next person I meet, hopefully I'll be ready to be a different me, a different approach
Yes.
to starting things off the right way, really. Mm.
If there was just a one simple answer, of course we'd all have it, and we wouldn't have all these relationships that goes wrong and a 50% divorce rate. So please don't worry the fact that the answer isn't popping up. But are you prepared to have a go and monitor yourself and see what you pick up and see what you learn in this new approach?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I do really highly value this of all things, and because I think it's kind of a bit damaging that you want to make this thing happen, but it's not happening, and you don't know how to go about it. So you start to really blame yourself, and yeah, I don't think that's a healthy place to be. It's not where I want to be.
I agree. And on these other questions about that, blaming yourself and worry and anxiety, what do you think today's conversation has done to contribute to reducing that a bit?
Yeah, it's definitely made me aware that what it is that I'm doing that needs to change, and that is changeable. It's not something that is so complicated that I'm here now discussing this with you, and I can see, I wasn't aware of this before when we were talking about it has brought that out, and it's there. It's been there all the time anyway, and I probably do think, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that, and I should have done that instead, and then you never do it, but because you never really talk about it or analyze it, it's just you just move on and to the next one and the next one. But yeah, I mean, this has definitely made me think about this approach, and I think that is a big thing, big part of it.
Good.
Definitely.
And let me just play back one line. You said that this is changeable, and I just wanted you to hear that because you've said that, and that's an important learning, isn't it? That it's a thing we can do, we can learn. Well, listen, thank you so much. I mean, I really appreciate you getting stuck in. This is it's personal, right? And it's vulnerable, and it might be a universal challenge, but it's a very, very personal challenge for you. So thank you. How do you feel as we come to the end of this conversation?
Yeah, it's been a good conversation, and I haven't felt uncomfortable about talking about it. I don't think we've had to go into any specifics, too much detail. It's been the essential things we've discussed there, and that's been really helpful to me. So yeah, I feel like there's a bit more of clarity going forward.
Good. Well, I'm really pleased, and thank you. And it is challenging. Of course, it's challenging, but you've brought a real good spirit to it, and and I really hope that this is the start of something new for you and something fresh. And I wish you really good luck with it all.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then. Let me know how you get on as well.
I will definitely.
All right then. Thanks, Leon. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Charlie.